Hey YouTube, what's going on? Snowflake Emos here today with another deck profile. Today I'm bringing you my Dino Pendulum deck. This has been one of my favorite decks to play recently, and I've been playing it a lot in the past few weeks since Xeno Meteorist came out. It's a strategy that incorporates both some of the best stuff Dino has to offer with some of the good stuff normal Pendulum has to offer, specifically in the fact that we got some notable Dino normal Pendulums. So quite a cool deck that puts together a lot of cards I like and does a lot of cool stuff. With that said, let's get into the card by card. Starting with our Pendulum monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Lanferincus here. Lanferincus is a 2500 attack, 6-star dinosaur monster with a pendulum scale of 7. When it's in the pendulum scale, if a normal monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponents. That's pretty sweet. Piercing through defense is nice. And 2500 attack, level 6 dinosaur is pretty nice. We can use this with Evolzor Solda, and of course the new Evolzor Lars. Just gives this a lot of natural synergy in the deck. Glad to have it at 3. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Fire Opalhead. Fire Opalhead is, of course, another level 6 dino with 2500 attack. Now, it has a pendulum scale of 0, no effect, but 0 means that we can pendulum summon out anything, which is pretty nice. 2500 attack, level 6 dino, gives us the same Evolzor, Solda, and Lars synergies as Lance does, and makes it a good card to have at 3 up. Next, I'm playing 3 copies of Dragoons of Draconia. This is my low scale of choice for this deck. It is a 4-star 1800 attack Beast Warrior monster, but if we put it in the Pendulum scale, once per turn, if a normal monster you control destroys an opponent's monster by battle, during damage calculation, add a level 4 or higher normal monster from the deck to your hand. So that's pretty cool. That just refuels our hand with other Pendulum targets, especially other big dinos, and we are happy to do that. Next up, I'm playing 3 Sky Dracoons of Draconia. This is my preferred high scale in the deck. Level has a pendulum scale of 7. Once per turn, when a normal monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can destroy 1 card in the field. So pretty good effect. 2200 attack when you summon it, makes it a pretty notable beater. And yeah, 7 scale, the 7-2, that pairs nicely for summoning out those level 6 guys. And last for our Pendulum monsters, I'm playing 1 copy of Dragon Horn Hunter. This is just a scale 3 that I can search off of Summoner's Art, which sometimes is needed, so that I can save my Opal heads for summoning on the field. Has a Pendulum effect that all normal monsters gain 200 attack, and of course, you don't take any battle damage from battles involving normal monsters, which is pretty cool. 2300 attack is also a pretty notable body on this card, and works out pretty well. And that is it for the Pendulum monsters. Going into our other monsters, we're playing some of the Dino Greats, including 3 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. Soul Eating Oviraptor, of course, the Dino staple, a 4-star dinosaur with 1800 attack. That when this card is normal or special summoned, you can take a dinosaur monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to your graveyard. That's great. That can get us Lance or Opal if we need the Pendulum scales or if we need the normal monsters. Basically, you can search any of the dinos in this deck, which is awesome. And of course, you can target 1 other level 4 or lower dinosaur type monster on the field, and if you do, you can destroy it to special summon a dinosaur type monster from your graveyard in defense position. So that's pretty nice, and of course we can use that with our normal monster. We can use that to bring out our normal monsters from the grave and target other things like the Durag token from Lost World. And we can do a lot of plays with that. So just a good card. Makes a good normal summon in this deck if we want to play it before we commit to our Pendulum summon. Just pretty good stuff overall. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Xeno Meteorist. This is the new card from Wild Survivors here. If a card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. So that's pretty nice. Lots of ways that we can destroy cards in this deck. With things like Soul Eating Oviraptor and stuff like that. So do note that we can get this out pretty easily from our hand. And then, of course, during the main phase, we can destroy one dinosaur-type monster in our hand or field to special summon a dinosaur normal monster from our deck. So that's pretty nice. That could pull out any of our dino normals if we want. And, of course, we can also use it to target any of our normal monsters as the card to destroy while Lost World's on the field and destroy something from our deck instead. Pretty dang handy. And that, of course, is pretty nice. Gives us a lot of options to get, and another level 6 dino will give us access to Lars and Solda. Next up, I'm playing 2 vanilla dinos, one Megalo Smasher X, which is a level 4 dino with a lot of attack, and one Frostosaurus, which is a level 6 dino with 2600 attack. Pretty nice. Frostosaurus may be redundant since I can technically pull out the Pendulum monsters, but I kind of like to save the Pendulum monsters, pull this card out of the deck. Might be better off serving as another Megalo Smasher X so I have more rank 4 options than are present. But it's nice to have. I also just like that Frostosaurus is now playable. Makes it pretty cool. These guys are basically used to be pulled off of the effects of our destroyed baby dinos so that I can get whichever one I need to make a certain XZ, or Xenometeorus, of course, can pull them out to make a certain XZs. Next up, I'm playing 2 copies of Petranodon. Petranodon is pretty sweet here. If this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, if this card is destroyed by card effect, not by battle, and sent to the graveyard, special summon a level 4 or higher dinosaur type monster from your deck, but it cannot attack this turn. So that's pretty cool. That can pull out any of our level 6 dinos. It can pull out our level 4 dinos. A lot of good stuff that we can pull out of the deck. I wish I could bump this up to more copies, but this deck is really crowded for space, and I can't fit it in at the moment unless I exceed 40. It might be worth it, though, to have an extra Petranodon ready to go. And last for our monsters, I'm playing the 1 copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops. It's a really good way to have a good card for going second, going card to easily summon when our opponent has more monsters. But more importantly, sometimes I found myself in a position where I have a Petranodon to destroy, but it's not going to get me 1 more material to make 1 more Evolzor XZ. And in that instance, I like to bring out Dino Wrestler Pankratops so that maybe I have the 2 Evolzor XZs and a Pankratops pop ready to go. And it just makes it a whole very cool card, very versatile, and no problem slotting it in the deck there. And that is it for the monsters. Next, going into our spells, I am playing 3 copies of Lost World. Lost World, incredibly powerful field spell. Basically means all monsters on the field lose 500 attack and defense, except for dinosaur-type monsters. We have a lot of those, so that's pretty nice. And once per turn, if a dinosaur-type monster is normal or special summoned, we can summon a Drag Egg token to our opponent's side of the field, which is a normal token. Very important because we can use that token to trigger Oviraptor's effect. And while that token is on the field, your opponent cannot target dinosaur-type monsters we control with their card effects, which is pretty cool. And then once per turn, if a normal monster on the field would be destroyed by battle or card effect, we can destroy dinosaur-type monsters from our deck instead. So that's pretty nice. That protects all of our normal monsters that we are playing in this deck, and allows us to destroy Petranodons and trigger its effect to get out more monsters. So just a very good card. Seeing this is very important for this deck to really pop off. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig is very nice because it just adds a level 6 or lower dinosaur monster from the deck to the hand. Grabs our pendulum scales, grabs our dinos, so just that versatility and the fact that it's not a hard once per turn means we definitely want to max out on 3 of this. I'm playing 2 copies of Summoner's Art. Summoner's Art, of course, adds a level 5 or higher normal monster from our deck to our hand, so that can add a lot of our pendulum monsters, aka the dinosaur ones if we need it, or the scales if we need it. Makes a pretty good way to do that. I'm playing one copy of Painful Decision. Painful Decision, of course, can send a level 4 or lower normal monster from the deck to the grave to add a copy of the card with the same name from our deck to our hand. This is basically a searcher to get us to Dragoons of Draconia, which is definitely a card we want to see and worth playing this card as a one of. I'm also playing one copy of Pendulum Treasure. This adds a Pendulum monster from our deck face up to our extra zone, which is our extra deck, which is nice. If we want to get an extra monster out on the Pendulum summon, just pull it right from the deck. We'll do that. And I'm playing one copy of Fire Formation Tenki. Gives all Beast Warriors 100 attack, and when it's activated, adds a level 4 Beast Warrior from the deck to our hand. This also searches Dragoons of Draconia, so just another good way to get to it. Last for the spells, I am playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Extravagance, great card. We are using our extra deck in this, but we'll just max out on everything because we really like having that extra card, and it can make a lot of difference. Pot of Extravagance, of course, we just banish 6 to draw 2 cards, and what more can I say about that from the extra? It's good. Does a lot of work in this deck, and that is it for the spells. Next, moving on to the trap cards, I am just playing 3 copies of Summon Limit. So I know we summon a lot in this deck, but a lot of that can be done on the first turn, and I find this deck still operates pretty well in its just normal Pendulum beatdown strategy under Summon Limit. So Summon Limit is just a good option to have to boost turn 1 boards that had weaker hands. Summon Limit is a great card that just says neither player can summon more than twice per turn. Stops a lot of combo decks in its tracks. And of course, Pendulum summoning out a bunch of guys once is still just one summon. So oftentimes under Summon Limit, we can have the advantage as far as monsters go and really beat down our opponent before they get the chance to out this. So just a very handy card to have just in case. And that is it for the main deck. Next, going into our extra deck, we are playing 5 extra deck monsters at 3 copies, starting off with 3 Defender of the Labyrinth. This is a great link monster for normal Pendulum in general. It requires 2 normal monsters to make. Non-effect monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack, and your effect monsters gain 500 attack. It's also got 2 good link arrows for Pendulum summoning out more guys from the face-up extra deck, which is nice. And of course, if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can target a non-effect monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So this is a pretty good card. Boosts all our normal monsters, allows us to Pendulum summon out more guys from the extra deck, gets an extra body on board, just very handy. Next up, we're playing a lot of the Evolzors here. I'm playing 3 copies of Evolzor Lagia. This can be made with our level 4 dinos. Lagia, of course, is pretty nice. During either player's turn, when a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap activated, we can detach 2 materials from it and negate it, which is pretty nice. This is a good one to make under if we have Summon Limit available, because we can use this to protect our Summon Limit. So just a nice option to have. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Evolzor Dolka. It requires 2 dinosaur-type monsters, and of course, during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated, we can detach a material to negate it and destroy it. Dolka is a great card. We can also make it in here, so very handy. It's not a hard once per turn. This card gets us 2 monster negates. We'll take that. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Evolzor Solda. So this one is made with 2 level 6 dinosaurs, which of course are Pendulum, Xenometeorus, Frostosaurus. So it can't be destroyed by card effects while it has materials. That effect is awesome. And of course, when your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can detach a material and destroy it. Once per again, not a once per turn effect. Very handy. We will definitely make use of that. And very glad to play Evolzor Solda. Last up is the slot for Evolzor Lars, but I haven't picked up my Lars yet. Lars is, of course, the new Evolzor XZ that takes 2 level 6s, and if everything on it is reptile or dinosaur, you can detach 1 material to negate the effect of a face-up card on the field, which is pretty good. But while I don't have it, I'm just running 3 copies of Transcendosaurus, the drill one. That's actually Lanphorhynchus, like a multiple version of it on here, so it's pretty cool to play it while I wait for my Lars to arrive. While this card has no monsters on it, if it battles a monster, any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, we can detach a material from this card to target a banished dinosaur monster and special summon it. Pretty handy. And if this card is destroyed, you can shuffle a normal monster from your graveyard into your deck and special summon this card. So that's pretty cool. Give this guy quite a bit of recursion. But like I said, he's mostly just placeholder until we get Lars. And that is it for the extra deck. So that is it for my Dino Pendulum deck. Again, just a deck I've been enjoying quite a lot. It can do a lot of things. I always love the Volzor guys, and this combines a lot of decks I love, Dinos, normal Pendulum, into just a different way to play those cards, and very much enjoy it. Like to know what you think. Love to know what you're doing with either normal Pendulum or Dinosaur type monsters. I appreciate you checking out the deck profile, and I'll catch you in the next one.